Yo, Kawaii Kid coming at you with a rant video. This one's going to be about the state of Warlocks. I really didn't want to make this video, but I'm just really frustrated that I can't play the character I want to, so I had to make it. Because, I mean, Blizzard had an entire alpha and beta phase to figure this out, but somehow didn't, and it really fucking sucks. So I guess let's start out with the class fantasy, because Blizzard's been like really intent on making each class and spec completely different and feel like what they're supposed to be in the world, like they're certain classes or whatever. And you can really tell this because by their artifact weapons that they implemented in their class quests and stuff. So Warlocks, each spec is different, but let's get down to what they're supposed to be. Affliction is like the master of rotten disease, you know, but our dots don't do any damage. It takes like 30 seconds for agony to even ramp up. And then when it does ramp up, it's just doing the amount of damage that it should already do. I mean, Shadow Priests and hell, like even Boomkins are doing close to our numbers in dot damage, like each individual dot. I might get a couple more, but I mean, Unstable Affliction is like you have to have shards to use it, and shards are based on RNG, which we're going to talk about later. So Demo is a master of controlling demons, you know, but we only summon like little fell dogs and imps and stuff, and not to mention they're only out for a couple seconds at a time, so you don't really get to feel like you're a master of demons. Especially it's Legion, where all these new demons are coming in and we get little freaking imps. Destro is master of flames and destruction. Yeah, they took away the burning embers and replaced them with shards again. Like, what? The burning embers were awesome, like really made a distinction in our class. And our biggest spell, Chaos Bolt, hits like a freaking wet noodle. Like, it does no damage. It doesn't feel like you're destroying anything. Our dot technically does more DPS. Like, Immolate does more DPS than our Chaos Bolt. We're supposed to be the tank caster. All these other casters have, like, ways to move around, like movement abilities and all this stuff. We have nothing. We don't feel tanky at all because we die in, like, one, like if you're in a dungeon or something and other classes are, like, blinking out of it or sprinting out of, like, mechanics and stuff, we are the tanky healer or caster. We can't heal ourselves through or be tanky enough to just sit through mechanics, but we don't have the movement abilities to get through them because we're supposed to be tanky. So anyways, let's talk about each spec outside class fantasy more around the gameplay aspects of it. So Affliction, our artifact weapon, has two messed up gold traits that only work for like questing and trash because they're only available when you kill things. So when you're in like a raid or like a high level dungeon and stuff, you're not killing things fast enough to be able to use your abilities, your gold traits. Even our first unlocked ability, Reap Souls, you have to kill enemies to even use that, and it's one of the hugest things that we use for our spec. It doubles the effectiveness of all our traits in the tree and increases our damage by 10%. But if we can't use it, if we don't kill anything, because it ramps up so slow if we're doing single target. Next is Soul Effigy, which we have to take because our Soul Shard, the way we get Soul Shards is completely RNG based on Agony proccing. And if you have another dot up on Soul Effigy, it gives you more chance to proc it, even though it's only a 75% on Soul Effigy, which technically it's weird the way it works. I'm not going to get into the details, but yeah, so we have to have Soul Effigy. It's boring. It's annoying. It's just bad. It's a bad talent that you have to take if you want to do good single target DPS. Our AoE issues, if you want to even say that we have AoE at all, is like Seed of Corruption needs to explode on death again. That's annoying that it doesn't. And damage taken for all sources, not just our damage. It should be baseline too. Like when you send out 4 with, there's a talent that you can send out 4 at once, depending on how many soul shards you have. But that should be baseline. It shouldn't be in our talents, which we're going to get to later on. I mean, so many of our talents have just been taken from our initial class and put into the talent tree that we need. So our DPS is like, on AoE is some of the worst in the game, next to Frosty Cape. Actually, no, I think Frosty Cape might have better AoE than us. Affliction's DPS is based off RNG of getting Soul Shard procs from Agony, which, by the way, takes 30 seconds to ramp up. So you're sitting there, like, if you're on trash or anything, your main dot is taking 30 seconds to proc or get up to 20 stacks, which also, by the way, you need to take a talent just to get that. Usually it only stacks to 10. 20 almost doubles the effectiveness of the boost. So another talent that we have to take to get our main dot doing damage. And 30 seconds ramp up time, it's so long, it's like not, it's ramping up to our normal amount of damage. So on monsters that die quickly, it's useless. Anyways, let's go to Demonology. This class, basically everything needs to get fixed. I mean, so much has changed since the last expansions. We don't even get to turn into demons anymore because Blizzard decided to give that to demon hunters, which I can understand, but it completely changes the way that we've been working for it since Cataclysm. The spec is like just horrible. It takes too much ramp up, just like Affliction. The boring rotation, because it's super boring. You summon a demon, which by the way only lasts like about 12 seconds, and then you cast Demonic Empowerment. Then you summon another demon, Demonic Empowerment. Another demon, Demonic Empowerment. Your demons are small little creatures that are basically just dots anyways, but with bad AI. And you feel like a slave to them instead of the other way around, because you always have to empower them with Demonic Empowerment. Then we got Doom, the worst dot in the spell. It doesn't do damage until after 20 seconds. And it also is one of our Soul Shard generating abilities. But most of the time, it doesn't pop before enemies die anyways. Like Trash, it's completely useless on. And bosses, it's just annoying to keep up because you already have this complicated rotation of trying to keep your demons empowered and stuff. You have to worry about Doom. Even with haste, you're only looking at like 16 seconds. Still 16 seconds to even do any damage, and it just pops once, and then you have to reapply it. It's awful. Destruction, let's just start out with, it's a boring rotation, first of all. Chaos Bolt hits like a wet noodle. Like I used to like Destruction a lot, where you'd build up and then shoot out Chaos Bolt with just this huge destructive damage. And now it's like almost like our damage is like scaled over time. Like with our RNG, Destruction has a little bit better RNG aspects of it than the other two specs, because you can use Conflag to get soul shards. You can use Shadow Burn if you spec into it to get soul shards. But still, our Immolate is one of the abilities that we get soul shards, and still that's just a RNG aspect, which Blizzard said that they're trying to get rid of RNG and they want you to have more control of your character. But every spec, including Destro, is based on RNG. Ring of Fire got nerfed so hard. The AoE radius of it is really, really small now. It's probably 1/4 the size it was. And now it costs 3 soul shards to use. You're better off just taking a talent to use Incinerate. Hits every mob. That's the only reason people are playing Destruction in dungeons right now, is because of the cleave damage you can do with Havoc. And you can spec Incinerate to hit every monster or every mob, so you get decent AOE, and you can kind of pad the charts. So Destruction is basically the only spec that's semi decent in our lineup, but it's still boring as fuck to play, and it doesn't feel like you're destroying anything. You don't feel like a warlock. You feel like a gimped fire mage almost. Especially changing the burning embers. Why would you even do that? I mean, the visuals for our class already stuck. Like Destruction lost burning embers, which really added the class fantasy. Incinerate looks bad. Like it just looks old, and it's like wiggly, and it doesn't look like you're burning like enemies really. Chaos Bolt looks like it's gonna wreck, but it hardly does any damage. It kind of looks weird, and it's like a really long spell. It takes a long time to get there, and then it dives down and takes even longer. It kind of almost looks like a snake, not like really a spell. It seems like it would be a huge damage dealer, but it does nothing. Affliction has no visuals. None. So when you're playing your character, you look like you're just popping. Like it's instant spells. Like, sure, make like a little glow for a second around the enemy, but it feels like you're not casting spells. It feels like you're just waving your arms, and you're doing it all the time. Like we could get a little something, when you do it, like make some like darkness flow out of us, or like bubbles or some cool thing, But instead we have no visuals at all for Affliction. Demonology could be cool, but our demons are so small and pathetic. I mean, you're a warlock capable of rivaling Gul'dan in power, and all you can do is bind imps and dreadstalkers. What the fuck? No inquisitors, imp mothers, jailers, dreadlords, pit lords, and not to mention all these new legion demons. Not even an Eridar. Your artifact is the skull of like literally the original demonologist, and yet you can't do any of that. What the hell happened to this class fantasy? Demonology has just got butchered. And the whole class is like everything just RNG with shards is really destroying us. I don't know what Blizzard was thinking. Like they're trying to take all the RNG from like most of the classes away, and then they make us balanced upon our RNG. It's bad. Our DPS is pretty bad too. It's like keeping us from getting invited to mythic groups. I mean, it's hard to get into a mythic group as a warlock, even harder to get into a raid because our DPS is consistently like 1/3 less than players that are playing a different class, you know, while we're playing the unfun class so it's not even worth it. Like so many of our abilities got ripped from their like original design that were like baked into part of our class, and now they're part of the talent tree. Like they didn't make new talents for us. They just took pieces of the warlock that used to be the warlock and put them in the talent tree. So you're kind of trying to make yourself whole, but you can't choose the ones that you need, you know? We need these to be effective and replace those talents that you took from our class and replace them with new ones that would actually make us effective, you know? And just a baseline increase in our DPS, you know? And after all this, 7.1's coming up, and what do we have to look forward to? A nerf. They're putting Demon Skin and Pact on the same tree, or same level on our talent tree. So now we have to choose between having Demon Skin, which lets us be a little tanky kind of all the time, or Pact, which gives us a long cooldown, big tankiness for 15 seconds, which usually gets bursted down by melee anyways. So they're taking the tanking aspect, or what little tanky aspect we have, away from us, you know? And not to mention, they're also nerfing in 7.1 a 30% health nerf to demonic empowerment. So not only is that going to nerf the damage that you do on some of your abilities that are based on your health from your demons, it's also going to nerf Pact. If you take it, who knows what you're going to take in 7.1, since they're going to be on the same tree, you know? And they're replacing it so that we can get Demonic Circle. We have a choice to get Demonic Circle since we don't have to 100% take Demon Skin. But Demonic Circle is a movement ability that you have to put up ahead of time. It's stupid. It's a stupid concept. Demonic Circle should be baseline already with Warlocks. They just took a spell that we already had and put it in the talent tree. I mean, Blizzard, you had alpha and beta testing for like a year, at least a year, and now almost a month of player feedback, and you'd like offer nothing. The only buff that you gave us is we get 3 shards now when we're out of combat. We generate up to 3 shards over like 20 seconds or so instead of just 1. That's the only change that we've gotten, which should have been that way all the time anyways, because when it was just 1 shard, like that took 2 of our specs completely out of being able to play, especially demonology, you know? And right now I think it's time to hang up my warlock because it's not fun playing the class right now, and it's kind of like a chore to play. I have to work super hard because the class rotations are difficult and annoying basically, and I get, you know, 2/3 the amount of DPS that another class would get. I'm not getting invited to mythics, you know, just the class is really bad design. And this is my 2nd warlock that I've leveled up in this expansion. It's just not even worth playing the class right now. And there's so many threads on the warlock forums right now giving really good feedback and ideas, and Blizzard's lack of response is just annoying. Like nothing they don't say, like they just ignore us. So many people are like dropping their warlocks, and you know, it hurts to not get any response from Blizzard, you know? So for the time being, I'm probably going to be playing a balanced druid, leveling that up right now. I'm going over to blood DKs to have a tank, so mixing it up with those two. I mean, honestly, a unholy DK feels more like a warlock right now than a warlock does. Your dots do roughly the same amount of damage as a warlock. You get a ton of pets that are actually really good in unholy, and they even like the abomination. That's pretty cool. And you could, you know, turn it into a bigger monster or demon, and it looks fucking cool. And Sorry to make this rant video. I'm just really annoyed with Warlocks because I want to be able to play the class that I want to play. But as it stands right now, I can't. It's just too frustrating to put that much effort to get no results. So hopefully we get a damage increase. Maybe they change around a class. But for the time being, I'm going to be playing a balanced druid. Anyways, I guess that's the end of the video. If you guys want to check me out, I'm on Twitch. Links down there. I stream every day. Until next time, I guess. Take care.